Welcome to Raising Adults, the groundbreaking parenting podcast that starts with the end in mind.
We're your co-hosts, Dina Thayer
and Kira Dorian. We created future-focused parenting to take families from surviving to thriving.
So join us as we help you stop raising kids and start raising adults.
Hey there, future-focused parents, our lovely FFPs. We're glad to be back with you again in a new year. And frankly, aren't we all glad to be in a new year? I mean, let's be honest. So Kira and I just wanted to hop on really quick and talk a little bit about that, about just what are we looking toward with an eye toward this new year in front of us? What are things that we're maybe hoping to accomplish or grow in? And as future focused parents, we always recommend that you, as our FFPs and listeners, take this approach too. It's a really great way when you have a kind of a clean slate in front of you. It's a really good time to just evaluate. So I think we're all glad that 2020 is behind us, but it's important that now that that's in our rearview mirror, we look forward. So Kira, I know you also have a big milestone birthday on the horizon. So how has 2021 been so far?
Have we mentioned that on the show at all?
I don't know. Maybe once or twice.
It's coming. Let's put it that way. There's a couple episodes coming where we talk about my milestone birthday. But yeah, it's coming. I'm going to be 40 on Saturday. Yay. I feel good about it, though. I think, I mean, it's always interesting that my birthday is right at the start of the year because I do get that chance to kind of look at what do I want to do with this year or this decade in this particular case. But yeah, I think I learned so much in my 30s. I mean, I had my children at 30 and found out I was pregnant like 2 days after my 30th birthday. So it's been a decade of enormous growth. And everyone says that your 30s are sort of where you find yourself. And then your 40s, you sink into that. And I feel really ready for that. I do. And actually, I think it really ties into what I'm thinking about this year in 2021, because I think one of the things I realized about myself, and it ties into our episode this week about forgiveness, is that I think that I forgive easily, but I wouldn't say I have a ton of grace for people. Which is interesting, right? Because you think of those things kind of aligned. But I do think there's a difference between, I'm usually totally willing to move forward and move on and, let's work it out. But I think sometimes I hold things too tightly. And so that is my goal this year is I want to just have more grace for myself, for people. That humanity piece that we talked about this week of like, how do I truly, truly see my own humanity in someone else? I think that's something I can do better for my kids, for my partner, for my friendships. And so that's kind of my goal this year and this decade. So
it's a great one.
How about you?
Grace is important. Well, it's interesting. Mine comes from something you said on a show a long time ago, but I think it was a friend of yours who was doing this kind of approach of just focusing on one thing a month. And I've learned, Kira already knows this, but some of you listeners may not. I am very prone to being easily overwhelmed. So I really liked this idea of just focusing on one thing a month rather than having like this laundry list of resolutions, because for 2020, I set 20 goals for 2020. And frankly, I met them all except one.
Wow.
One of them
that's amazing in a pandemic. Can I just compliment you on that?
Well, thank you.
All my goals.
The one that didn't happen was pandemic related because one of them was to do our trip to Europe without debt, but we didn't get to go to Europe. So that one didn't occur. But what I also realized is when I set a goal for the year, of course, I'm going to do it all year because I'm Captain Type A pants. But sometimes midway through, I realize this actually isn't a good fit. It's not a goal. Not something I want to continue. So what I also love about this is A, it's not overwhelming, but B, if I don't love it at the end of the month, I don't have to keep it. I feel like it's long enough to either establish a habit if I think it's a good one, or to say, you know what, I tried that. It doesn't really work for me. So I'm pretty excited about that different model. And you were the one who shared it. So thanks.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's a wonderful goal. That's super smart. Because you're right. You don't want to feel like tucked into something that actually turns out to not be meaningful.
Yes. And I'm way too rigid that way. I do get locked in. So I didn't feel as free with like a quote New Year's resolution to go, I'm just going to drop that in May.
Right.
I just was like, I will soldier on. And like, I hated it, so I think this is a much better approach. So I'm looking forward to a new year with less overwhelm and the ability to drop things that don't serve me.
I'd like to know if Type A Pants is the sequel to Captain Underpants. Is that Is that coming out this year?
It is in theaters near you. So FFPs, I mean, who knows what this year is going to bring? We have all become more acutely aware that we have no idea what's in store for us. I think 2020 did us that favor. But we wanted to just share a little bit about what we're thinking about and felt it was appropriate for a quick spin cycle, even though sadly we're not together in the laundry room yet. We still love those spin cycles to just chat about things briefly. So as you go into 2021, we'd love to hear what you're thinking about focusing on. You can feel free to comment on our social media posts or write into us, info@futurefocusedparenting.com, and we'd love to interact with you and hear what you've got in store. And we are so excited to bring you lots of content and not just podcast episodes. We've got a lot of fun things coming down the pipeline. So we hope you'll stay tuned for that as well. Have a wonderful year.
Happy New Year.